Welcome, guys. I'm seeing some setups here, but they're a bit sketchy. Okay, they're a bit sketchy. So far for US30, we have an indication above a level that is quite good for us. So this one requires just some little bit of patience. If you observe over there, we had that level of resistance. What ended up happening? Price came above this level. So this is all an indication. We don't trade an indication because you can get cooked in the indication phase. So simply just we have to wait for the correction so that we can take setups. Then the other trade which I took was on US oil. And the reason I sold here on US oil was because if you had observed underneath this level, whenever price went under here, we had massive selling pressure. Okay, look at that. Price went from the first time it went under here, it sold all the way to here, right? So my first tip in general for this trade was that was this area here. That was my first TP. Okay, because whenever price is under here, we usually sell up to there. And also but the reason why I closed that early, because I had like a bigger lot position. The reason I closed that early was because the structure, as you can see, we are resisting, we are forming equal highs there. So I was a bit hesitant, to be honest. And yeah, I closed out at around $56 in profit. Then for silver in the morning I was taking buys, but as you can see, price ended up selling massively. The reason for this, the reason why I even got out early was because underneath this level, if you observe, price has been bearish the first time, it was bearish the second time, this is the third time. Now the fourth time, price was sincerely above this level. It was forming like a bullish structure, but then afterwards it formed a kind of reversal pattern underneath this area. So I was like, let me just get out, right? I got out, and I'm pretty happy I got out, because if I didn't, I would have been in some huge floating loss, huge, humongous floating loss. Okay. So this just goes to show that once your setup is invalidated, you have to know the early signs. So most people I think what hurt most people's accounts is that they don't have early signs for their accounts to be for them to say that, hey, my account is now on the edge. Okay, this is not what I signed up for, right? For me, when I'm taking buy entries, I want to first of all observe. Look at that. The first time price came, it made a high. The second time it corrected, it never took out the previous low. It came above, it failed to break out to take the previous high. That was some good confirmation that maybe the price is failing to actually clear structure. So that would have been the first indication. Secondly, I want you guys to observe something. So underneath this area, this is a very critical zone. The area that we're in is a very, very critical zone. If you observe, whenever price came here, it sold up to here. Whenever it came here, it sold up to here, right? But it's failing to break underneath this zone. It's failing to give an indication under there. So what happened is that instead, what price is doing, it's consolidating. It's coming here, pushing up, coming here, pushing up, coming here, pushing up, right? So it's failing to break to the downside on this one. So what do? You simply have to go to the low time frame, like the H1, so that you can observe the structure a little bit more cleanly. Okay, so on the H1, you observe that price so far has it has been making those same moves that I've shown you. Okay, it is still making those same moves. So there's nothing really catchy about this, right? It's just making the same moves. Now, when do we take entries for buys? We take entries for buys when we have this same structure. Look at this. Price reached this zone, it made a high, a low, and then afterwards it broke to the high, a low, and then a continuation, right? So if we get the same structure here on the left side here, right, on the right side, if we get the same structure here, then we shall probably be looking for entries for buys. But currently I don't see any entries for silver, because price has just sold off massively. This was actually a good drop. I could have caught it, but I was off session. I was trading oil by that time. I never had like the setup to catch this, but this was like a plus 1.5% move. Very good move, especially if you are growing a small account. I wanted to touch on some other areas so that I can analyze with you guys. So there's US 100. US 100, if you have observed, taken sell entries, but then afterwards I closed out because again we know that above that area price is bullish. Okay, we are bullish above this zone there that I've marked. Let me first go to the high time frame. Okay, this is a H what? This is the H4. Okay, so for US30, if you observe, price is making higher levels of support. This is the first area of support, and then price made the second area of support over there, and it failed to break this area of support, so giving us the indication that it wants to do what? Push higher. Then I want you guys to observe that also we have this area of resistance. Okay, you don't have to like have these magic fingers, but look at this, price came here, sold off, right? Then it came above the same zone. What do you expect? You expect that it's going to push until we reach the next high. Simple as that. So I go to the H1 so that I can see if I can get any entries. And so far I don't like the structure on this one. Yes, we are bullish, but I don't like the structure. Look at this, we have a low. Yes, we have a low, but the issue that I'm having, the structure is too extended, right? But I could have taken the buy, but the structure is too extended. Look at this low, price respected the level of support, it never broke underneath it. It's coming above the same zone, but the previous structure failed to break the previous high, so it's a bit sketchy for me. From my end, it's a bit sketchy. Then US oil I think is now starting to pull back. It's starting to pull back actually, but let's wait for this one, because also, as I've shown you in most of the other videos, structure is very important once you combine it with areas of confluence, right? Structure is very important. So if price resists this zone a lot, then we can probably be looking for entries on US oil for buys. So I go to the doesn't look too good actually. It doesn't look too clean, to be honest. It doesn't look too clean. So I'll close. Okay, I'll close. So this puts our account at $114 profit, okay, minus commission and stuff. So if you observe here, we have $23 for today. Our target for the week is just $50 for the week, and then after, as we call it, we wait for the next week. But if you go to last week, you observe that you have made over $124, right? Minus commissions is around 114. So commissions are around $10, okay. Silver, I've made money on silver, and I took like 5 buy positions in the morning, which took me out, so I had to close out with a loss. Then for oil, I made the most money today because I was selling underneath this zone, which I've shown you guys. I think you guys have seen it very well. I've shown you that underneath this zone price was bearish on okay, let me show you. If you observe, I think this is way back, right? It seems way back, but you know, it is what it is. But here's the crucial fact, right? If you observe to the left above there, whenever price was underneath that zone, it sold up to here. I want you guys to observe, it sold up to here. Okay, so whenever price was under here, we sold all the way on that same length. So we sold that same length all the way to here. Okay, so it's like okay, up to there. So price is just starting to sell, okay, and I'm expecting that same bearish movement to come in until we push price to that same zone. If we fail, then we shall have to probably look for structure shifts. But yes, oil, I'm expecting some good sales on it. Okay, this is just a pullback. This scares most people. Of course, now since we're dealing with a daily time frame, this pullback can happen like the whole New York session. Okay, so you shouldn't be in the market by the time. But this is like my first expectation, that if price was able to make this move from here up to here, I'm expecting that if price is not at that same zone, we may have a push from there up to there. So that's what I'm seeing on oil so far. I don't know when this will happen. Of course, I don't know. Okay, but I know that it will definitely happen if we're to continue the bearish structure. Okay, if you observe, price has been bearish on oil. It has been bearish actually. Okay, so I'm expecting some good moves. So let's wait for gold. USD card. Let me see USD card from the daily time frame. Okay, USD card, I think we can see that it's bullish. Yes, USD card is bullish. Okay, I want you guys to observe how price is failing to break underneath this level of support. It's respecting it, but on the H4, I'm seeing that so far we have some bit of an indication. If you observe over there, price came, it sold off, okay, then it broke above that zone. So we have some bit of a confirmation here, but we don't just necessarily start buying. No, we wait for further confirmations of structure. This is why I'm so heavy on structures, because structure gives you the roadmap. It gives you the directions. If you're on a trip, structure is what tells you that don't pass here, pass there, pass here, pass there, right? So structure is very important, especially if you're trading ACC or you're trading market structure. So price action, sorry. So I think that's it. I wanted to just show you one pair. This is a funny shift challenge one, phase one, right? Step one index, step one challenge, sorry. So I need to get some pairs so that I could analyze a little bit better. Okay, I think here we are done with the pairs. Then indices, S&P 500, I want to check it out. Japanese, yeah, I think that's it. I don't trade the German because German is extremely volatile, especially if you are trading during the wrong times. It can take you out easily. Then yeah, I think that's it. But I would recommend that you start with pairs which are very good movers. Uh, so instead of having to hop from pair to pair, I recommend that you start with pairs which you're more confident with. So here we go again. This is again ADCHF. ADCHF, I told you earlier on that I was looking for price to go underneath this zone. Look at that, price came here, it sold up to here, right? So I'm looking for that same push from there all the way up to there down. So yeah, nothing crazy, right? You're expecting that same momentum to kick in. But so far what I'm seeing is that price has already made a high, it's correcting, and then it's just starting. If you observe, you have this area of resistance there. That's the swing high. Price broke above the swing high, then it corrected. Now it's building up momentum for that second push upward. So yeah, DCHF, yeah, we can buy. I don't know. Shall wait. Then Ethereum, no. Silver, I'm done. I think it was S&P 500. So S&P 500. Observe how actually we took out the previous high. The structure is actually is a bit crazy on this one. It's a bit crazy. Structure is a bit crazy here. Structure is a bit crazy. Let me first remove that. Okay. Yeah, you can call it a day, of course. $20 for today. We're almost halfway from our target. Okay, so we are good. I don't know why S&P 500. It always has that weird market structure. What's happening? Okay. So again, Japanese index. Japanese index actually, as you can see, price is already selling. I don't even have to ever explain. Price is selling on Japanese index. Okay, we underneath the level where sellers took control. So if you observe over there, price came the first time, it sold, second time it sold, third time it sold, then we had that indication. Now price is underneath this same level. What do we expect? I'm expecting sales. Simple as that. Stop loss will be above this zone as usual. Okay. So how do I sell here? So as you can see, if I'm to sell, I first of all measure my stop loss. That's the first thing that I think most people, especially with those who are starting out, that's what they miss. They start with the position entry, and then actually they start of explaining themselves. So if I'm to sell here, let's say 0.9, my stop loss will be around $7. TP will be 11, 12. Okay, if I increase by 1.9, 10. Okay, if you have to use lot size 10, that will be around $65 loss. Honestly, the issue that I'm having, let me first see. Yeah, I think we're good for sales on this one. I'll take sales. Yeah, I'll be taking sales here. I'll be taking sales. Okay, just with the minimum lot size. 5 is, I think, best, because if I'm to use a very big one, I may get into some crazy drawdown. So stop loss will be just above this here, so that's around 32 dollars. But the optimal is like 52, so I mean you can reduce to 3. Yeah, let's sell by 3. Okay, one position. Okay, so I'll tell these people in my WhatsApp group that I'm selling what? Japanese index. So I'll tell them that I'm selling Japanese index. My TP are these lows here. These lows here are my first TP. As you can see, price is already in profit, but don't be dismayed. Price can shift any minute. Any minute you can be in profit. Any minute you can be instant loss. Instant loss, right? So you have to be very careful.